I was just kind of out there. And people did attempt to physically take my life, even at that time. And you could go and do your research. There was a Jewish gentleman on the top of the building across from Def Jam with a high-powered rifle shooting into the record company, thinking that I was in there. So these things were going down now. When Luke threw me the lifeline, I snatched it, held on to it. I moved, went down to Miami, and I said, well, let me start over. Right at that time, I got married and starting another life and that kind of thing. But shit, it followed me down there. I ended up clashing with Luke because the Jewish people whispering in his ear. Then there was a death plot hatched, and I ended up getting poisoned. And in the middle of the night, man, took the IV out of my arm, and whatever they stick up your damn nose and your ass, and grabbed my passport and grabbed a bag and flew to England, hooked up with some brothers, and did this blood purification thing. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even be here today.
Yeah, you just said this before. You said he was some Rasta brothers.
Excuse me?
You said these some Rasta brothers that had helped you at that time. Right,
exactly. And whatever the hell they was mixing up in the damn kitchen, it worked. I don't know what it was.
Right. But you here, things, so it worked.
Exactly. But I was saying, see, all these things you wouldn't have known. And some of my friends, like some of the people on your side of the fence, was like, well, damn, Professor Griff, you see, that's what you mean. See, if he would have called you in the first place, he would have got that. See, but we could say that now.
Right.
Feelings weren't involved. Feelings were involved then. They're not so much. They're not so involved now. Now we can talk. But that's my whole premise for putting my phone number out there. And I've often said, hell, anybody can call me anytime. Let's talk. And I truly mean that. And people have called me. There was someone
I've had people email me who said that they had called you. Matter of fact, one reason why I finally decided to give you a call is because the brother had contacted you and he had spoken with you on the phone, and he had emailed me and said, look, man, you guys need to get this handled, and you guys need to get it handled as soon as possible. And let me say this, too, because, I think in retrospect, I would say that if I knew that things was going to get to this point or, gotten to the point where it had gotten, I would have called you right away. Matter of fact, I would have called you before I even did the lecture series, to be quite honest with you, because there's no way that I could justify the amount of damage that has gone in over the last month. I can't justify that with the lecture series, regardless of the information that I presented that may be beneficial to people. I can't justify it that way. But I do know that when you put the number out there, I was look, I'm just going to be honest, and I told you this off air, I was pissed. I wasn't showing that. Right, because I don't want people to get it. Like, okay, Lenon, he's just real pissed off. He don't want it, but I was upset, and I know that if I had called you with that kind of mindset at that time, it wouldn't have been a good conversation, and it would have probably gotten things even to a much worse kind of situation. So, in retrospect, it would have been much better for us to have talked and spoken earlier. But at that time, the feelings and the emotions and the ego, as you said, all that was all wrapped up in there.
Right. And I truly believe that if we were to kind of change the formula, so to speak, even I had to change the formula, and it's not about being a punk or backing down or whatever. I just had to change the formula in which I approach some of the information that I receive that's sensitive. I.e., Jay Prince from Rap-A-Lot Records. He blasted me in the magazine. I said that the blood sacrifice of Pimp C, he benefited from it. I didn't say that. He may have thought I alluded to that. And I said I heard through the African grapevine that they inked the deal. And then when he went public with the homosexual agenda that's going on that you spoke about in hip-hop, you just missed your mark. It was not Professor Griff. There's a whole bunch of other people that me and Black Dot have been teaching about. And we have the proof. So when Jay Prince said that in the magazine, I had to track down the editor of the magazine. I could have been pompous and cocky and been like, man, the hell with that. I ain't doing nothing. I'm not retracting anything. I could have took that route, but I said no. I humbled myself. I tracked down the editor to the magazine through a friend of mine named Stickman from Dead Press. He put me in contact with him, and I said, Jay Prince called me out. Let me just respond. And I put a letter in there, an open letter to Jay Prince apologizing for what I said. That's what we have to do as men, brother.
Yes, sir.
Plain and simple. Everyone that's within the sound of my voice. And Lenon, unless you lived under a rock the last 30 years, you know Professor Griff ain't no damn homosexual. You know I wasn't promoting no damn no anal penetration agenda. That's not my thing. And for the record, brother, Luke was just a straight-up dude from the hood, man. He wasn't, that label wasn't no damn Masonic, whatever the hell you called it. There was some ragtime madness going on down there, man. Gambling and stripping and lewd acts all in the hallway and in the back room. And man, please. I barely got out of there with my damn life. See, these are the things that your listeners don't know about.
Right.
So when they see you doing something like the addendum and coming at me, it's like, wow, I knew it. That little mother, Professor, I knew there was something up with him. Stop that. Stop. No. So when I heard my daughter's voice, she said, Daddy, so-and-so and somebody's talking about you on the internet. I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, stop, no, stop reaching that, no, stop.
Yeah, and let me say this too.
That was my sentiment.
Yeah, no, and I understand it because see, I talked to Brother Sean about this, a Public Enemy, and I talked to Black Dot about this. Once I realized that type of thing was happening, that's when I got to a point where I was like, wait a minute, like I messed up on this big time, because my work has never been about hurting people, and in particular hurting young people. That's never so. I can only imagine my daughter at a certain point. Someone puts stuff, because there's have been people who've been putting stuff on the internet, about me and so forth. And I can only imagine what would happen if my daughter came to me and was like, "Hey, Daddy, there's some stuff circulating on the internet. What's this all about?" I know that would not only would it infuriate me, but in terms of the damage that would cause for my daughter, even if it's not true. Still for her to have to experience that. Once I understood that, and that's when I realized that I had made a mistake. And that like you were saying earlier, there's so much on both sides. There were some people who were inside, and then they would promote the conflict, and they would send emails, they would post on YouTube pages, or I've even seen vlogs where they just pump it up, and all it just had gotten so far out of control that at a certain point I realized that this is way over my head on this one. And one of the questions I asked Black Doc, and I have to ask you as well, is do you feel that this thing had gotten extremely blown out of proportion, and the impact that it had is directly related to how much it was blown out of proportion?
Oh, of course, but even deeper than that, and not to throw darts, I think it was blown out of proportion when you had that conversation with your wife and you said this is damaging, and you toiled over the fact that whether or not if you should even put it out. At that moment, if you would have called me, I would have had this conversation with you, and it would have been done. It would have been done. I would have emailed you a body of work that I've yet to put in the public. And you could have seen the back door. You could have seen behind the scenes what was going on with myself, Last Asiatic Disciples, Society, who's been a lifelong friend of mine and still is. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
And you'll see why we made Pawns in the Game, Black Draft, Disturbing the Peace, Chaos to Wisdom, Blood of the Prophet, and the Word Became Flesh, The Seventh Degree, and now this album, The God Damage. We've always educated people to try to raise the conscious level of the people. I believe when you were having that conversation with your wife, if you would have picked up the phone and said, wait a minute, Pookie and Man and Tay-Tay got Professor Griff's number, then you should have it. Everybody and their grandmother got my phone number. I said, I got the third most popular number in the damn world. The Times, 777-9311, Mike Jones, and Professor Griff.
Okay.
Are you following me? So, come on. I'm like, no, you could have called me and asked me directly. I know the way this looks, Griff, but I want to hear it from you. You understand what I'm saying? So me and Society tried to track down, to prove to you that it wasn't what you were saying it was. We tried to track down the actual film and the footage of those photos that we took that day, and we weren't naked on the cover. We knew that, but we needed to dig up this stuff to prove it to you. It's just that a lot of that stuff was lost when my house was burned down.
Mm.
So there was no actual way I could prove these things, but yet to go on YouTube and explain the breakdown and the science behind the Black Draft cover and Pawns in the Game and what we were talking about in the song Black Draft. And then when I put that stuff out there, I noticed some of the people that was co-signing for you, they never even called me to say anything. I'm like, I put it out there and I got no response.
Mm.
I said, where are all of these people at?
Yeah, and I know I know that I didn't have your phone number, but even still, if I could have gotten it. There's it's just in my work, I've never gone through the process of, having someone else basically co-sign on my work. But given that it was you, and given the fact that, you have a long-standing record of producing, lecture series, music and so forth that has been positive, in retrospect, because this is the key here. In retrospect, it would have been a lot more appropriate for me to just give you that call. But during that time, it was not in my mind to do so. And again, as I spoke with Brother Sean earlier today, when we make mistakes, we make them. And I know you made some, I made some, we've all made some. But I've learned an important lesson through this. And I know in retrospect that all of this, really all would have been avoided had I given it a call. But at the time, that was just not in my mind to do. And then also, I think it became even more difficult for me to communicate with you once, we started going back and forth. And when the email was sent to my wife, that was really what kind of put it over the top. And unfortunately, I was so upset at the time that I knew that, to speak with you directly, it would not have been a good thing. But again, in retrospect, that would have been a much more proper course to take to call and kind of resolve things that way.
No, and I truly understand it. But I think even with the people that are listening now that are fostering their plan against Professor Griff, unbeknownst to you, and probably even Black Dot and Sean, there's a few people that are listening that I know personally. They can attest to this, that I've said in several lectures prior to even going through this with you that I had a premonition that I would die at the hands of someone that looked just like me.
Mm.
Right after that, this thing happens with you.
Mm.
I'd already been shot at a couple of months before even this thing with you. So I'm saying to myself, okay, so I did the thing with Black Dot, John Patash, Philip Muhammad, Irritated Gene, some other people, and we talked about the COINTELPRO. We talked about how they would exacerbate the tensions between the different camps.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Pretend to be on your side, but
That's
snuggling
right.
up next to Griff. Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
These people
Mm-hmm.
are listening to us right now, and they hate this conversation.
That's right.
And they don't want this kind of thing to happen. They'd rather me send some people to knock on your door. They'd rather you do an addendum to the a damn addendum.
Speak on it.
Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
And then something physical happened to one of your babies, and then they come and arrest Griff, and they kill two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But I want to say something to them bastards. Die in your damn rage. You will never get that out of Griff. I'm a warrior and a soldier. Never get that out of me. Plain and simple. I even said on the arena, on the blog talk thing, and I said that, no, I respect his work. It's just that I needed to talk to him about this addendum thing and this hip-hop thing. That's all. And I told the soldiers in the street that I know they hang on Professor Griff's every word. Leave that man and his family alone. And I said that in every lecture I've done since then. Leave him alone. And I understand that they wild and crazy, trigger happy and everything else. So you understand what I'm saying?
No, we already had our kind. I understand. I know. Mm-hmm.
So, those are the brothers that, hell, I was doing my work trying to reach. Black Dot to tell you. There's some places that we could tell you we've been, man, that, please, man, you would not even believe. You would not even believe. I mean, this is luxury, man, sitting on Blog Talk talking, but hell, try going into some of them places that me and Black Dot have been, man, to teach our people. It's critical. It's really, really critical. So I'm saying all that to say this, that I'm man enough to step up to the plate and say,